Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tony Talks Get Up and Grow, where I have conversations with inspirational leaders,
Not
influencers,
hearing you.
and change makers.
Not hearing you.
Hold on. Maybe.
Not hearing you.
So, as you guys know, Adam is already in the green room. Just 1 second. Adam, if you maybe adjust your
We
sound.
lost him.
I still hear you on this side. Don't know if that's on my side or yours, and unless we have somebody watching live.
Fine.
Yeah, someone is on here. Can you, whoever is watching now, just let us know. Can you hear our voices? Adam, if you can just go out and come back in. I don't know if it's your voice or mine that. Yeah. Okay. So very good. So. Okay, great. So you can hear me. Great. So I'm going to intro Adam as he just left, and he's going to come back in, and hopefully his sound will be right. Can you hear us now, Adam? Beautiful. All right. So now I'm going to introduce you on screen. So, Adam Gugino, a good friend of mine, is the co-founder of Unblinded, but we're going to go back, and I'm going to do his intro the right way. Hey, Robert, thanks for coming on. Hey, Chris. Hey, Anna. So yes, I don't know if we finished the intro. This is conversations that I have with inspirational leaders and influencers. And you, my friend, are one of those people that's out there making a difference in the world. And it's having conversations with people that aren't just doing well in life, but are doing good in the world by contributing back of their knowledge, contributing back to society through helping empower other people and making other people, again, leaders creating leaders. So Adam has an acute sense of sales mastery ever since he could talk. He created a marketing and event planning company that supported the largest bars and nightclubs in New York and New Jersey. He then became the number 1 inside sales consultant in the country for ADP, the largest payroll company on the planet. He left there to build a center for a startup solar company, which annualized at that time about $3 million in 2015. And by the time he left, it was annualizing approximately $750 million. And the team he built grew from 0 to 500 employees in less than 4 years. After meeting Sean Callaghan and discovering his unblinded results formula, he followed his heart and purpose one more time, left millions of dollars on the table, and became the co-founder and the CRO, the Chief Results Officer.
Revenue?
Okay. Well, you know what? Same thing. Yeah. Right. Ultimately, the Chief Revenue Officer of the Unblinded movement. And with that said, so usually I bring him on off camera, but he was having some audio issues. So here he is, the one and only Adam Gugino. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. I'm glad to have you on the show. It is a long time coming. I should have invited you on sooner before you roast me on that. You're right. I should have had you on a month ago. But here we are.
It's all good. Thank you so much for having me, Tony. Yes, indeed. I consider you a friend. I'm super grateful for this opportunity. I'm humbled. You had some incredible guests on before me. I mean, just unbelievably accomplished men and women. So to be here tonight is again an honor. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, I'm happy to have you on. I'm always happy to spend time with not only like-minded people, but also like-hearted people. A matter of fact, that you recognize the where I'm sitting now because you were here in November around Thanksgiving when we organized the Basket Brigade, through the Tony Robbins organization or in support of the Tony Robbins organization and the Basket Brigade, where you and I and probably another 20 or 30 people. 20 or 30 people that were here, or maybe 33 or 34 people that were here putting together. We put together over 100 or 101 baskets that we put together to give back to the community. And so thank you for your support, not only financial, but for the time that you came. And then we went out to deliver those baskets with my kids. It was a heck of an experience, and I can't wait to do it again this coming year. So we had already obviously met before several times, but that's the day that I feel that we really got to know each other at a deeper level. So I appreciate you for the man that you are and how you show up in the world, for sure.
Well, thank you again, Tony, for that. And I would agree. When I came to your house and your family completely welcomed me in, and this everybody there, you could feel the love. I mean, putting together those baskets, and then to go out the next day with you and your family and your son. I remember I got a bunch of pictures with him walking up to the door of people in need and of, you know, food and during the holidays was really one of the most incredible moments. Definitely something that I will never forget. And I thank you for inviting me to be a part of that with you and your family. And yeah, I mean, ever since I met you, you've just been a warm person, hysterical, and just a great guy, man. Just a great guy. So again, thank you so much for having me. And I would love to just ask you. I know Get Up and Grow has been doing so many wonderful things. If you wouldn't mind, like the evolution just from when we first met till now, if you would tell me a little bit about, you know, what this means to you and what, you know, Get Up and Grow has done right up until now.
Yeah, well, you know, I actually shared part of the story on another episode, but I'll get into it a little bit here. You know, Get Up and Grow, and it's funny that you say that because I was just on the phone with someone from Australia, and she was asking me the same question, and I got into a bit of the story, and you know, and I'll get into that. But before I do, I just wanted to put a pin on the conversation we were having about giving back and contributing to people going through difficult times. I just want to encourage everyone. I want to encourage everyone, just because I don't want to leave this unsaid, because so many times I get into conversations and then I don't come back to them. So I just want to remind everyone that, again, you know, going and contributing during the holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas and everything else is beautiful. But something that I had heard a few years ago, which was so poignant, was from a food bank that said, listen, we appreciate, and we get inundated. We almost don't have room. We've got to get extra storage brought in for all the food that comes in during the holidays, and we appreciate it and we thank you for it. We just want to remind everyone that people are hungry every day of the year. So I just encourage everyone that's here watching to give wherever and whenever you can. To help the needy. You know, so many of us have overstocked on food for, you know, for this pandemic and the shutdown and everything else. And hopefully this will be lifted and everything will go back to normal very soon. Normal, whatever that's going to look like. But so many of us are going to have extra canned products that, you know, we never really have, but we figured, hey, we got to have something in the house. So if you choose to hang on to it, that's great. If you don't know what to do with it, drop it off at a food bank. And especially in today's world where we are and the economy having been shut down for the last 3 months, there's people that are probably more in need now than ever, more in need now than they ever were around Christmas or Thanksgiving. So I just want to encourage everyone. Matter of fact, that's something that may be a conversation that I should be having with you and putting together a bunch of other people to do the same thing that we did for Thanksgiving, maybe at a larger scale. And because, again, there are a lot of people that are struggling now more than ever, because they've not had the ability to work. Even the people that were doing okay, if they didn't have savings, they're jammed up right now. So I just encourage everybody, just keep giving. Don't wait for the holidays, because during the holidays it feels good for us. Well, you know, it feels good. Guess what? It feels good other times of the year as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's put something.
So, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put that out there right now. Anybody who wants to get involved with that, I'd be happy to participate in that for sure. So anybody want, you know, send us messages, you know, whatever you want, however you can get to us. We're reasonably easy to find. But yeah, so with that said, I just didn't want to leave that hanging out there, because that's something when you started speaking about that and I started speaking about it, that came to mind. So the Get Up and Grow movement, you know, I actually did a solo show yesterday for the first time. I'm not even sure how many views I had. I haven't gone back to check. So I don't know if I had, you know, 10 views or if I had, you know, 100 or 500. I have no idea. But one of the things that I spoke about was how so many times we fall and so many times we fail and or we make mistakes and sometimes we fail. But I don't like to use the word failure, because you don't really fail if you're still trying, if you're still continuing on that journey, right? It's just part of the experience. You didn't fail. You just figured out a way how not to get whatever you want accomplished. So I've had the opportunity in my life to make a lot of mistakes, as we all have in business, in life, in relationships, and everything. And I believe that I really believe, and I end my show every time with letting people know that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall, right? And getting up just one more time, right? It's one more time. Doesn't matter how many times you fall, just get up one more time. And that every single time you fall, you indeed have the opportunity to get up and grow. And most people don't get up and grow. They just get up and go. That's why they keep going through the same thing that they're going through. They keep living the same pain and reliving the same mistakes, and falling the same places and failing the same ways and feeling the same thing because they just get up and go. But we all need to get up and grow through what we go through. Otherwise, we just keep going through it. So to me, that's a passion that I've had. I've had the opportunity to work with, I guess, through not just myself personally one-on-one, but in groups and at events and everything else. I got to say, there's been thousands of people that I've had the opportunity to help grow through what they go through. And by giving people different perspective, different optics, changing their language, changing their focus, changing their mindset. So that's really, that's such an important component of it, through forgiveness of whoever it was that hurt you or whatever the situation was, and forgiveness of self. And again, I don't want to rehash the show from yesterday, but that's all encompassed in that the movement of Get Up and Grow, where helping people turn decades into days, and letting them know that those 500 pounds of garbage that they've been carrying around on their back, they can put it down today. They don't have to keep carrying it, because the reality is you can't swim across the river if you're being weighed down by an anchor or by 500 pounds or 10 pounds of crap. Try swimming across the river, holding a cinder block. You're going to drown. So most people stay on the banks. And if they do try to attempt to get in, they go in, but they stop and they're struggling. They're almost drowning, but they know they can't move any forward. And how's this? This is a hell of a good analogy. How's this for feeling like you're stuck, feeling like you're drowning? You can't move forward because you'll drown, but your ego, your pride does not allow you to let go of that cinder block, of that anchor that's holding you down. So because of that, you're stuck. So if you're feeling stuck right now, it's because you're refusing to let go of the past and grab onto your future with both hands, because you can't grab onto your future until you let go of the past. Or as I said to somebody a couple of years ago at New Year's Eve, I says, listen, if you want to grab the bull by the horns, you got to let go of his tail. Otherwise, you're just going to get thrown off. So anyway, that's a little
timing. The timing's perfect.
Yeah, it really is. So, man, there's so much around it, which is why. And so again, I created this show about a year ago, and I started having conversations with inspirational leaders and influencers, people that have a message to share. And really, one of the things that I like some of my favorite guests have been those who have been through a seemingly unsurmountable challenge, through levels of pain and loss that would kill the average person, or that would certainly, make you understand, okay, I get it. You don't want to be here anymore. Or I understand the level of pain, or I understand why you wanted to give up. Right?
Yeah.
So it's about, but yet they didn't, and they didn't just survive, they thrived. Think about Dana, what she went through.
Yeah.
And how she grew, how she's evolved, and the impact she's making in the world. Right? So I love to bring, I had Scarlett Lewis, which by the way, I sent the message to Lorelai. I want to connect her with Scarlett to have her be a judge on The Real Raw. Scarlett Lewis is a mom, a Sandy Hook mom, who started the Jesse Lewis Choose Love movement. Her little boy was killed in the Sandy Hook school shootings, but he saved 9 of his schoolmates, because when the guy was reloading, he got all the kids up and out of the room, and unfortunately he didn't make it. But yet he left notes all over the house, because that's just the heart that he did. He left a note for oh my God, I've got, dude. Anyway, just amazing people. I guess if you guys want to look that one up, go back a couple episodes. Scarlett Lewis was on. Just amazing story. So it's about stories of survival, of sharing, and it's about highlighting people that have gone through so much. Sean Callaghy, for God's sakes, that's a perfect example. The man went blind in his early 20s, and he knew that he was going to be going blind, which I don't know if that's worse or better, right? because I don't know. I've never been blind, and that's always been one of my nightmares, so to speak. And I've got actually another great friend of mine that I want to bring on. He's also been on the show. He's a blind Olympian, so I've got to bring him on as well. I've already been talking about to him, and but it's the people that have gone through those challenges that to curl up and disconnect from society and just hide behind drugs or inside a bottle or whatever. They have the excuse to do that, and nobody can blame them. But no. They decided to thrive and not just survive. And now they're sharing their stories of accomplishment. They're sharing their stories of victory and encouraging and inspiring other people to do the same. So that is one long ass-winded explanation to what is Get Up and Grow and what's been going on. And what's been going on is, things are happening, man. Getting obviously a lot more attention. There's people asking me to be on the show, which is great. And certainly, but it's not even about that. It's about the lives that I get to impact. It's about the lives that we get to change, and it doesn't matter if 100 people are watching, if 5 people are watching, if 1,000 or 10,000 people are watching. It doesn't matter, because the words that I'm sharing, the words that you're sharing, the words of the guests that I bring on are sharing. If those words land on the right ears and it changes the life of one person, all of this has been worth it. It saves one life, because the life you say, as the saying goes, the life you save could be your own, right? Who knows when you're not changing someone's life that can at some point change your life? How many times do we hear of stories where somebody does something for a stranger and one day, like that story of and I'm going to go back. This is somewhere, maybe in Asia. I don't know if it was China or Korea. And so there's a video that plays sometimes on Facebook that it's of a little boy, and he's in a food store, and he grabs some food and he's going to steal it, and he goes to run away, and then the daughter goes after, catches him, brings him to her father, and the little boy's crying, he's scared, and the kid's like 6, 7 years old, 8 years old. Like I'm starting to get emotional just thinking about it. And the man, tells his daughter to stop, and he gives him a bag of soup, because that's how they do it there, a bag of soup and whatever else in the bag, and he goes home and gives it to his mother, who is dying. Right. And so he was stealing food because they needed it. And many years later, 30 years later, there's this woman in this restaurant looking at these bills, and these bills are just countless. It's unpayable bills because the father's dying in the hospital. Father's dying in the hospital, man. I tell you, it's corny. I'm telling you this story, but I'm getting emotional telling it. I'm hoping I'm doing it justice. So the man's in the hospital. He's dying. He needs some kind of surgery. They can't afford it. She's facing having to close down the store. But the doctor goes in, does what he does, and she gets these bills. And then one day she gets a bill, and it says, I need some water. Allergies. And the bill said, from the doctor, said this bill was paid in full 30 years ago. When your father gave me food to give to my dying mother. Damn. Weird. So I'm getting choked up, but it's weird. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional, but so one random act of kindness came back and saved the man's life. Now, while that was just maybe a parable, or maybe it was just a story, it doesn't matter, because it was real to me. It was so real that it still makes me emotional just telling the story. I've never told the story, so it's weird. I didn't know that I'd get emotional. But the reality of it is, the doctor at that point was able to take care and pay for the man's bills and save his life for one random act of kindness. So now I'm going to go back, because I have to now go back, because I've shared this story about Tony Robbins, everyone, and we're talking about influence. And I apologize because you're the guest, but I'm going to have to say this because now one led to the other. I had this conversation. I had this conversation on the show that, everybody wants to change the world. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to be the person that changes the world. And I tell everyone that you are an influencer. Every one of us is an influencer. We have the opportunity to influence. And it starts with us. It starts with our family. It starts with our neighbors. It starts with our neighborhood. It starts with our community. It starts with our town, our city, our state. That's how you change the world, one person at a time. But everybody just wants to go and they want to change the world. I want to change even now. They will go out and they protest, and that's beautiful that they're protesting against it. But it doesn't. Nothing's going to get changed overnight. It's unfortunate. I wish we could just snap our fingers and things go right, but that doesn't happen that way. But it's one random act of kindness at a time. So would you agree that Tony Robbins is an influencer?
Yeah, I mean, probably one of the most positive influencer on the planet.
Right. And he's arguably changed millions of lives on his own by the people that come to his live events, never mind those who read the books and watched the videos and everything else. But it's countless lives that because I've already touched so many lives. So the ripple effect is amazing. He touched all these people's lives, and it's the ripple effect that they go out and change the world. So some people would you say that Tony Robbins is a hero? You can stay unmuted. It doesn't affect anything.
Yeah, no, I would say that's why we consider integrity-based human influence a superpower. Absolutely. Because
right.
The lives that are being changed and in a lot of cases saved. I think he does more than just change lives. I think he's
cool. So check it out. He's an influencer, and he is a hero to many. Right? To many that don't even know that that box of food, while maybe not given by him, was through him. I was influenced by him to donate and to contribute and put groups of people together to do all of that. Right? But here's the thing. Tony Robbins wouldn't be Tony Robbins had certain events not happened in his life. And there was one event in particular. You've heard this story. Thanksgiving. Man comes, knocks on the door to give a box of food. He's 9 years old. Tony Robbins goes to his father, says, there's a man at the door with something for you. He goes, we don't take no charity. Slams the door. The man puts his foot in the door. Says, sir, please. No, we don't take charity. Slams the door. His foot's in the door. Says, listen, swallow your ego, swallow your pride. It's not about you. Do it for your family. And he took that food, slammed the door on the guy anyway without saying thank you. And they had Thanksgiving. Now, arguably, and Tony says it, that was a pivotal point in his life. That may very well have shaped who Tony Robbins was and went on to save so many lives and to contribute to so many people. But nobody knows who that man was. That man was a hero. That man was an influencer. That man single-handedly changed the world for so many people. So again, it's one random act of kindness can change the world. So anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. But that's what influence is to me. That's why I do what I do. And yeah.
Tony. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm again so grateful and to be here because of the stories that you've just told, and I couldn't agree more. Influence of just one individual can absolutely change the trajectory of the world as you've just described. And when you look through the prism of what we're doing here, and when we talk about integrity-based human influence, you are helping people see what they're not seeing. And by giving them the ability to improve their mastery over influence, and they're in a place or in a position where they could impact the world or change lives, it's a superpower. And, you know, whether or not somebody realizes that, the key is to understand that what we talk about is the association with sales, right? I mean, that's sales and influence. That's like the language that gets used. And a lot of people have a negative association with selling, a negative connotation around selling somebody something. But then when you use the word influence, and when you use it with integrity, it changes everything. At the same time, you are still selling yourself. And in so many cases, and so many people that we speak to, their position might be, they might be a coach, they might be in holistic, in functional medicine, they might be working for a nonprofit. And when they're able to influence others to see that they're better off with them, without them, or to see that what they have can help that other person, it becomes transformational. And that's, in essence, what you described, and in essence, what we're doing here with Unblinded and with integrity-based human influence.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's also why I'm aligned. I mean, I'm aligned with I've told Sean that I'm aligned with his vision. And that's why I support you guys. And I'm so as involved as I am with the organization, because I believe in it, you know. And I even tell Sean, it's funny because in order to get up and grow, you're going to love this. In order to get up and grow, you've got to be unblinded. You've got to be willing to see what you don't want to see. Because most times we're not blind because people are blinding us or they put blinders over our eyes. Usually we're blind because we're choosing to have the blinders on ourselves. And so many people go around with blinders on, right? You know, blinders, you know what blinders are actually for, right? Do you know what the term blinders are? Do you know what a blinder is? Blinders is this headgear that you put on a donkey or a horse. Like in New York, the horse-drawn carriages, they have blinders on. They literally have these caps that don't allow them to see what's going on next to them so they don't react, right?
Yeah.
So in many cases, human beings go throughout life with blinders on, refusing not to see what's happening around them. And today, my God, if this conversation didn't just come full circle with what's going on with racism in America, how many people are walking around with blinders on, choosing not to see the injustice? People are still choosing to say, oh, but, you know, George Floyd did this. He was a bad person. He was, you know, and you know what? Maybe he was, but that has nothing to do with what happened. And I'm not saying he was a bad person. I'm not judging. I'm not saying he was a good person. I don't know. I didn't know the man. But regardless, what happened to him shouldn't happen to anyone. But the fact that people are going around with blinders on, the blinders of hate, the blinders of ignorance, the blinders of judgment, the blinders of history, or the blinders of whatever people want to have blinders of, they're going around with blinders, refusing to see what they must see. So they've all got to be unblinded. They've all got to be, and unblinding comes through many times just through choice, through decision. Sometimes the unblinding comes through protest. Sometimes, but most of the time, and it's not most of the time, inevitably the answer is going to be education and respect, and teaching our children emotional intelligence. Because what's happening with school shootings, what's happening with shootings in general, what's happening with what this cop did, it's lack of respect for self, lack of control, lack of emotional intelligence to be able to deal with situations that happen in the world, right? But that's what happens. So it's through education that we're going to solve this. Unfortunately, this will not be solved overnight, regardless who says what. I've got the cure-all. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. I wish it could, but it's not. But it's through love and patience and education, and asking for forgiveness and giving forgiveness and acceptance and respect. That's how we're going to do this. But that's how you become unblinded in life to everything. It's through education. It's through respect, and many times it's through self-respect. Because without self-respect, if I don't have self-respect, chances I may have a surface level respect for you or someone else, but if I don't have deep self-respect for myself, I can't possibly have the level of respect that maybe someone deserves. That's why we act out in irrational ways and do bad shit to people, to innocent people. Don't get me wrong. I'm very able to do bad shit to bad people. And you know what? Many times it takes a good person willing to do bad things to protect the good people from the bad people. And those are our men in blue. They're willing to do bad things to protect good people. It's just they can't do bad things just for shits and giggles, right?
It's terrible.
And that's kind of what happened. He did a bad thing for whatever was going on in his life or whatever. There's no excuse. But anyway, now I don't want it to devolve into that. But really, that's what unblinding is about. It's education. It's learning a new way of doing things. And in many cases, So anyway, I'll go back to cut to the chase and say that I aligned, and I told Sean this. I said I align with you so much because in order to get up and grow, you've got to be unblinded. You've got to be willing to see what you weren't looking at, so that you can learn from the mistake that you made. So you can, know that when you come across that hole again, you don't fall in it again. You don't trip over the things that happened in your past, or you don't. For example, if you're walking, you don't trip on something that's behind you. You trip on something that's in front of you. So why did you just trip on something behind you? It happened in the past, but you keep tripping because you haven't learned. You haven't grown through it. So that's
what you said. For sure, unconditional love for all people. That's the key. And one of our, we have our 10 indispensable elements that we talk about in building emotional rapport and creating depth of connection. And the first thing is unconditional love for all human beings. And I think that is the message that we have as an organization. And I have personally, I've always followed my heart, and that is ultimately what has gotten me to the position that I'm in, is just leading with love. I mean, Joseph McClendon said it yesterday on the Summit, lead with love. I mean, when you lead with love and you follow your heart and you do those two things, you're always going to find yourself in the right place one way or another. You're always going to find yourself in the right place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the mission, and really, truly, the truth, integrity-based human influence exposes the truth. That's one of the things that a big picture mission for us is to give people the ability to look through the prism of integrity-based human influence, and the formula, the unblinded results formula that we are, out there with, and allowing people to truly accelerate and find breakthroughs in their life. And we talk about, it's a sales training, but it's so much more. And when you talk to the people that are experiencing what's happening and in the movement, you're hearing these incredible stories of where, like we've described, where people are taking this formula and they're using it for good to change lives, because it's not just the person that you're speaking to. It is the impact that they have once they bring this to the world and to the people that they're working with, or the business that they're in. So we've been, even with all of this, with the pandemic and everything happening as an organization, I think we've been having more impact for good. With everything going on right now, it's been more impact for good. The huddles, I'm sure you've been a part of them recently, and Sean has just given that beacon of hope and that positive message to just keep people, moving forward. I mean, look, the world paused, and for a while the world had paused, and it was an opportunity for others to accelerate and to do good things and unbelievable things. So, I mean, that's where we are now, and there's opportunity for people all over the world to really make a difference.
Yeah,
and that's what's.
Well, and the reality is, in order to make a difference, you need to know how to make a difference. It's great, and Robert Booker's been booked. Thanks for being here, Robert and Anne Marie, and everyone who's watching live, and for all of those who are going to be watching the replay. Thank you all for being here. But Robert's been making some statements, absolutely, about living in the moment. And then on this one here, I'm just going to highlight, certainly, especially the end. We're here to help those in the new space decide for themselves if they want to stay there, and then help them develop the tools so that they can help themselves, and then teach others to do the same. And isn't that what we're here for, right? We're here to help others so that they can go ahead and help others, right? We're here to help people so they can help others. That's why I'm bringing people on to share different points of view, different perspectives. I had a dear friend of mine on 2 days ago, which was an extremely powerful conversation that I had with him about current events. He's an African-American, 23-year veteran of the Army. That just recently retired. He was a field combat medic and saw more death and destruction than anyone should see in their life, many lifetimes. And we had a very powerful conversation. And it's really about bringing people on and having perspectives. And I think in the next couple of days, in the next week or so, I'm certainly going to be bringing on other guests that are going to be speaking on the subject matter. Because listen, there's only so much that I can speak on it, and that you can speak on it, and that any of us can speak on it that we've not, while I mean, I've experienced racism at one point or another, and I shared that the other day when I was having the conversation, but not to the level, because I don't live with it every single day, every single minute, right? So we don't really know what it's like. So everyone that's out there talking and speaking against it, many people don't know what it's about. They don't know what it's like to live under that oppression, really. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, certainly we've come leaps and bounds, but there's so much further to go. So
much further, and here's the way that I'm living through my life, and the way that I make my decisions is based on, look, if we were to write an autobiography, a book right now about our life, or even just any was to write what's happening in the world today, this time period that we're living in will never be forgotten. There's 10 years from now, we will all be able to look back on this moment with all that's happening, not just for one day or 1 week, for the entire, maybe 6 months. We will always remember what we've done. And if we're writing our narrative, our heroic, unique identity, or our story, this chapter is going to be in every single book. Every single person on the planet is writing their story right now. So every decision that we're making during this time frame is going to be remembered for yourself and for the world. So it's an opportunity, again, to do the right thing, to make the right decisions, and really, just focus on positive influence, positive impact, and that's what we're doing here. And that's ultimately the vision of our organization, and the messaging that we're putting out there is just,
absolutely
do good, and it'll be remembered.
Yeah. Listen, we all have to step up, and we all have to step up and have a voice and speak our voice, and be louder than the ones who would speak against it.
Yeah.
And be louder than just the anarchists, because, by the way, there's anarchists on both sides. Not to get into the politics of it, but why the hell are there pallets in the middle of New York City of bricks, and in other major cities conveniently by all the expensive stores with plate glass windows? Who put those there? Why don't we know yet? Because there's cameras all over the place, right? But not to devolve into that, but the powers that be are manipulating this situation to their advantage. It's a real thing. It needs to be changed. But this is becoming much more than, anyway, not to devolve into that, but this is much bigger than what we're seeing, than what the average person is seeing, what the news media is reporting to us. And I just encourage everyone, stop watching the news so much, because hearing it over and over again, the fact that they keep showing the video of that man dying, we don't need to see that anymore. Our children don't need to see that anymore. They don't need to be re-traumatized. There's people that are being traumatized by this stuff. We already know what happened. Stop. It's like, somebody referred it to this morning. It's like murder porn, right? You're just watching it over and over again. Why? We all know what happened. You want to play it? You want to play it every couple of days for anyone who may have missed it, which nobody's missed it right now. The world is on fire over it, so to speak. Not necessarily burning, thank God, but everyone's reacting and having a visceral reaction, as they should. And I just hope that the right people are paying attention, and that the right people, or rather the wrong people, stop manipulating this to their advantage, because this is being politicized in a big way right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but people are just coming out and swinging and they're doing enough. Let's focus on the solution. Let's focus on the solution.
That's the solution is love for all people. I mean, that's the real solution.
Absolutely. It's love and respect. And we just need to accept that. It's just love and respect, and education, and stop with the madness. Stop. What are the powers that be? For God's sake, stop inciting the violence. There was another report of it was a white man walking by plate glass windows with a hammer and smacking each one of the windows as he walked by. in an already fired up crowd. What do you think is going to happen? It's to incite the riots, to incite the looting. Those people need to be caught and brought to justice because they're the ones inciting the looting. If you've already got a band of people that are already desperate because of what's been happening to them, and they've also now, to add to that, they've been locked up in their house practically for the last 2 months, unable to work, unable to socialize, and unable to speak their voice, unable to congregate. And then you go around, what it's like, it's of course this was going to happen. There was a powder keg waiting to happen, and then you got a bunch of idiots out there lighting fuses. It's a tragedy, no doubt. It's a problem that needs to be addressed, no doubt. But the fact that there's all of this looting and everything else is tragic. You know, tragic because in the poor neighborhoods, they're looting those stores too. And you know what? The owners of those stores live in those neighborhoods. They're serving those communities. I'm going to say it again. I said it the other day. One of the saddest things that I saw was an African-American man, probably in his 60s, crying, begging everyone to stop. He says, "Why are you stealing from me? Why are you taking my computer? I came from the hood. I'm here helping you guys. Why are you stealing from me?" Because everybody likes to say that they're just going after the multinational corporations, but that's not true. That's not true. Matter of fact, you look in Manhattan, and you know what? Stores, Fifth Avenue is being protected. All the big stores are being protected, but the little guy is the one that's getting hurt.
It's just tragic, and
Yeah.
all
So
yeah.
yeah, so it's through education, brother. And again, I love what you guys are doing because you guys are educating. You guys are educating people to be better, to do better, to learn better, to communicate better. And like I said in the intro to this show, was, you know, if you're in a business, if you're in sales, if you're in a relationship, if you talk to other people, right? If if you deal with any other human being, you know, the Unblinded formula is amazing because it helps you to communicate. It helps you to have that level 5 listening.
Yep. Level 5 listening, depth of connection, just truly being present for people. Oprah, it was mentioned today on The Real Raw how Oprah, her success from where she came from to be one of the most well-known, internationally famous people on the planet, simply, this was her method. I hear you, I see you, what you say matters to me. And when people are speaking to you and they know that you're listening and it matters what you're saying and you truly care about who they are, what they need, and you know what they're looking for, that's when you can come from a place to solve problems, because you truly understand their problems and their issues and their needs. And when all of that is understood and you know you have something that can help them break through, get over the pain and suffering that they're going through, and you have it, you're doing them a disservice. It's an injustice not to provide them and present them with what you have to offer. And that, in essence, is integrity-based human influence. And with all the things that are happening, and that's why Sean, I think you mentioned this morning, he feels an obligation to somehow try to connect with President Trump, because he knows that if he could have a conversation with him on integrity-based human influence, and he could break through the barriers of his poor communication, that he could have a positive impact on the world. It's depth of connection. It's emotional rapport building. Of course, it goes further than that, because you know it's not just connecting. It's how do you help when you find the pain and you find the suffering. What is your heroic, unique identity? What do you have? What do you bring to the table for that person to help them, guide them, help them get up and grow, help them accomplish what they're looking to accomplish? The people that we interact with, their dream, their mission, and their purpose is usually or always tremendous and just incredible. Yet there's something that is preventing them from getting what they want. And if they get what they want, it's not just them getting what they want. It's the community, the people they're trying to help get what they want. So that is why when my story was, I took a company we mentioned from 3 million to 750 million over 3.5 years. And it was from 0 to 500 employees. My biggest accolade, we made Inc. 500 magazine 3 years in a row as one of the fastest growing privately held companies in the country. But my proudest moment was we made Inc. magazine's best places to work in the country. And that was literally because of the diversified culture and the fact that love was present. Everybody worked together on a mission and a purpose. And the reason that I left was once I met Sean and discovered this formula and discovered integrity-based human influence. It's like, wow, this is why I've been successful. Like this formula, although I never had the roadmap, I never had the actual blueprint to why I was doing so well in my career. And then I discovered again integrity, sales, and an actual formula that I could translate and transfer to other people so that they can accomplish their mission and their purpose. That is my passion. And when I had the opportunity to stay in the organization I was at, when I was offered the equity that I always wanted, the millions of dollars, and I decided to walk away, was because of the impact of what this formula would have to the world. And that's exactly where I am right now. It's people say, how do you walk away from millions of dollars that, again, I invested time and energy and so much into that endeavor? How do you walk away? Because certain things are priceless. And this is one of those things. Yeah, because give somebody this tool, somebody who is, once again, in a nonprofit. Sean stood up on stage at Tony Robbins' birthday. And through the integrity-based human influence and his ability to galvanize energy and just who he is, and of course the message, they raised over $1 million to save children from sex trafficking. I mean, so if he wasn't as good as he is at integrity-based human influence, maybe he was only able to raise, or they were only able to raise as a group $500,000. So the level of mastery, your level of ability to influence with integrity, has the ability to save and transform so many lives. So how good you are at that skill, depending on what you're using it for, could be life-saving, for sure, life-changing, right? And that's my commitment to the formula and to what we're doing, because I know the better that I get, the more I can help people see what they're not seeing, the more lives they can impact and the more people they can save. So with what's happening in the world right now, if Sean could speak to some of these individuals that actually have the power to make change and influence, wow, would the world not be a greater place and a better place? I know it absolutely would. And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Awesome. Yeah, listen, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like I said, he's definitely somebody that I've learned from, and that I'm blessed to call a friend as well. So Amanda asked a question, because I always ask people for questions. So she asks, I know you're in sales. So for people who are pivoting during this time, what resources do you recommend that they turn to?
When you say resources what resources do I recommend pivoting to? Could you just reframe the question?
I know you're in sales. For people who are pivoting during this time because they're having to change their business models, the way they do things, what resources would you recommend that they turn to?
Something like to sell, like something else to sell?
Yeah, something to sell, or just a business or something. I mean, listen, certainly, but so learning how to communicate effectively, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, in the times that we're living in, I mean, there is incredible opportunity to connect virtually. I've never seen a space. It's never been easier or more frictionless to be able to connect with people all over the world. I mean, people are looking to connect. People are looking to build relationships right now. So, and again, that's, like you said, integrity-based human influence, Unblinded, is that is our message right now, is to find people that are open. I mean, the doors are open. There's been so many opportunities that before the world started to really change, that, you know, people were busy. I don't have time. We were unable. It was much more difficult to make to build those connections. And now we found that it's become much easier to do so. So, I mean, I would recommend that you look to the business opportunities that you might have thought were impossible, or the people that you thought were unreachable. And I'd reach out right now for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a time of opportunity, because there's a lot of people, so many people have the resources that other people don't, right? I like to say that everyone we meet knows something that we don't. So the reality of it is, if whoever's out there, you know, certainly Amanda, you've got so many different skills, and I'm sure that Anne-Marie has, and Robert has, and everyone that's on here have certain skills that people that are in business now that are struggling, that are suffering, whether it's marketing, whether it's communication, whether it's sales, or whatever it is. You may have a skill that somebody needs. Go out and make yourself available. If you're not,
value. That's the
your services. You know,
listen, add massive value anywhere you can, and that's definitely the recommendation. That's exactly what we're doing right now. We're adding as much value as we possibly can, and bringing people together that have different skill sets, different value to add, and it's helping people grow exponentially for sure.
Yeah, and it's a time and opportunity for listen, if you ever wanted to be in business, now's the time. You can go and partner up. If you have a little bit of money, you can go and partner up. And it doesn't have to be money. Sometimes it could just be your time and your skill. You can partner up with someone, negotiate, you know, a business deal, whether you know, you're taking over the business, or you're taking over a piece of the business, or you come in for a piece of the upside, or whatever it is. So it's all about that. Anne-Marie asked a great question. Is it too late in the course to join Unblinded now? Absolutely not.
This is the beginning. We keep saying this. We have an internal joke, me and Fernando Valencia. He's one of the other co-founders. And we keep saying it's the beginning of the beginning. So we launched January 10th, 11th, and 12th. You were there, Tony, our event in Meadowlands, at the Meadowlands Expo Center. We did over 1,500 people over a 3-day weekend. And it was a unbelievable turnout, considering the amount of time we had for our first event. We consider it like running the 4-minute mile. We've been accelerating ever since, but each stage has still been what we consider the beginning, because right now we are launching so many different things with the 10x10, and we have some incredible coaching programs with Sean, doing one-on-one coaching right now, very limited number. We have our Real Raw role play that's on every day at 3:00, which is, again, only a month old, and the acceleration of that program has been incredible. So yeah, I mean, this is the perfect time to get involved for sure.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite, Anne-Marie, to the Facebook group, so you can kind of get on that. And then there's a morning huddle every morning at 8:30 that's free, that you can jump on the 8:30 morning huddle every morning, Monday through Friday. That's 8:30 Eastern. And the amount of learning and knowledge that gets shared is amazing. So I'll invite you to that as well. And then 3:00 Monday through Friday, there's something called the Real Raw role play, where you can learn how to just communicate better, how to sell better, how to just overall, just again, become a better communicator, whether on the phone, in person, whatever it is.
That's where we have you know, 2 really accomplished individuals in their space, in their vertical, their business, either an entrepreneur, professional, just, you know, different walks of life, and they go head to head, role playing, selling and offering their service, their product. Maybe they want to get a speaking engagement, whatever it is, with a specific role player, as Sean is the moderator. And then there's 3 judges. And of course, after, you know, they show off their skills, Sean does some training and introduces them to the formula, to integrity-based human influence, and usually exposes some potential opportunities for growth in that area. It's phenomenal, and it is a great way to learn what we're doing, and it does create what we call a scotoma. Joseph McClendon uses that word, which is that void, that opening where people's listening becomes present. And yeah, it's definitely something I recommend. That
That's when you make them aware of that hole or that problem that they didn't even know that they had, right?
Yes.
And there's been so many greats. Les Brown has been on, Jay Abraham, Joseph McClendon. Just so many great people have already been on, and there's so many more greats to come. So absolutely, I would absolutely recommend and go on. And like I said, Emery, I'll connect you with all of that. But yeah, actually, Robert said it the best. The best time is now, or actually, arguably, the best time was yesterday. The next best time is today. The best time after that is as soon as you can. So just definitely get involved. You got to get in the game. If you can't get in the game, you can't win the game. So you got to get in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we are the one word I would say when you talk about the Unblinded movement. It's inclusive. That is what it looks like. It is absolutely inclusive for all people from all walks of life. People who want to make a difference. People who want to accelerate their time, their money, and their magic. That is, not just a tagline. It is happening. It is real. It is present for people who just want to commit to that. And it's no better. There's no better thing. There's no better offering to be a part of than to help people achieve their dreams and their goals. I mean, that's what we're selling. We're selling your dreams and your goals, but not just through and nothing against personal development. I love it. I met Sean at Business Mastery, and Tony Robbins is a hero of mine. Like you said, it's very inspirational. What we do is not, there is inspiration. There's definitely a lot of that motivation. But it's a skill. It's a training. It's how do you get what you're looking for. It's through influence mastery, which is what we're talking a lot about, integrity-based human influence. It's process mastery. It's the process of having quality meetings, sales opportunities. How do you get those opportunities? How do you get in front of people? And then it's self-mastery, which is a lot of what we've described earlier, which is, your ability to have, we're actually in the self-mastery portion of our training right now. And it's probably the most difficult as well, because the challenge is your own mindset, right? And fear of rejection and fear of failure, which is so prevalent in sales and in what we're doing. So that's there. But ultimately, you still need to understand the skill of to be able to influence, and then the process. So it's influence mastery, process mastery, and self-mastery are the components of the Unblinded formula, the Unblinded results formula.
Yeah, when you can learn to communicate better and you can learn to express yourself and your business and your product and your service better, then it's a game changer. The game changes, literally. For those, and I've had this conversation on here before as well, for those who have this aversion to sales, just know that we're all selling all of the time. We're all selling all of the time. You're selling yourself as to why you need the latest pair of shoes or the latest purse or the new car or, the new house or a bigger house or a smaller house or, this or that. It's selling. We're always selling. We're selling to each other. We're being sold to. Communication is that transfer of idea, the transfer of goods, the transfer of product, the transfer of emotion, whatever it is. So we're always selling. So don't have that aversion to sales. Just know that it's part of life. And when you can A, accept that, and B, become better at it, become better at having that intentional conversation that can lead people from a no or from a hello to a yes, as Sean says, the game changes.
With integrity. Do it with integrity.
With integrity, absolutely. Yeah. So for those, give me the website. It's Unblinded. Unblinded.
Yeah. Unblinded Mastery. It should be unblindedmastery.com. But I'm going to give my email too. I would love to give my email out. I don't know if you type it into the chat. It's Adam.
Hold on. I type nowhere near that fast. So.
Oh, okay. You want to do it or should I?
Can you do it from there? I don't know if you can do it from there.
Adam.Gugino at unblindedmastery.com.
And you can follow Unblinded Mastery on Instagram as well. You can email Adam Gugino for sure. As for me, you can find me on Instagram at Tony Rodriguez 2.0. That's Tony Rodriguez 2.0. And on Facebook, certainly if you're here, you found me. Get Up and Grow with Tony Rodriguez. And certainly we're on YouTube as well. So I thank everyone. By the way, I'll give you the last word and then I'll close up the show because we're approaching that top of the hour. So give us one last thought, something that we can take home.
Yeah, I mean, I would say lead with love, follow your heart, follow your dreams, and for sure understand that influence is a superpower, and do good with it for sure.
Awesome. And with that, my friends, again, I thank you for being here, for commenting, for asking your questions, for sharing this video. If this video resonates with you, by all means, share it. And remember, my friends, that life is not about how many times you fall. It's about getting up after every fall. And remember, that's in falling down that you learn. It's in getting up that you grow. And every single time you fall, you have the opportunity to get up and grow. So get up and grow, my friends. I appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow. We have Brian Bradley on from Megoscu again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, that is 3 p.m. Pacific. So join us again tomorrow. Adam, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you are who you are as a human being. I appreciate you as a friend, as the man that you are. Thank you for taking time today to sit with us and to have a conversation with us. Thank you for how you're showing up in the world and the impact that you're making. And keep shining. I appreciate you. And I love everything that you're doing out in the world. I appreciate all of it. So don't go away. I'm just gonna don't hang up yet. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Robert, and everyone else that's been on here. I appreciate you. Thank you. And the whole Ho'oponopono, you know it, I know it, and the world needs it. So I love you. Rather, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Have a great night.